Hey everyone, welcome to another video. In this video I'm gonna be trying out a new to me brand. The brand I'm gonna be testing is Martine Cosmetics and I got their new release. They came out with a new collection and I believe it's called Martine en Orbite, but my French isn't very good, so it could be that you pronounce it completely different. I will put it on the screen just to be sure. But they came out with a set with 3 eyeshadow palettes that are all space inspired. I thought it looked so cool, and from the moment I saw the 669 palette that they did before this, I really wanted to try this brand. So yeah, I can't wait to try it, can't wait to dive into this, and let's get into it. So we have 3 palettes in a set. They aren't sold separately, they are only sold together, and then we have 3 little palettes each inspired by a planet. And when you buy this you get the big box. It is pretty it is a pretty big box, and then when you open it like this you see all the eyeshadow palettes with the planets on the front. So let's just quickly go through these palettes. I will show you some swatches, some close-up, everything you need to know about these. So first up we have the palette called Spciy. I honestly don't know how to say this. I believe it is Spciy, and this is a very interesting color story because we have some greens in here, a blue, we have a kind of brickish dark red in here. It looks so cool. I really love the color story of this one, and this one is the one that pulled me in the most, that made me want to buy this collection the most, because I think that this is such a good color story and just a very interesting combination of shades. It is a very shimmer heavy palette though. You don't have a lot of matte options, but the matte shades that are in here look very pretty. Next up we have the palette called Mars Touchouin. I don't know if I even want to try this. Mars Touchouin. I have a feeling that isn't it, but this is a Mars inspired palette. We have some very beautiful warm tones, bronzy tones, also very shimmer heavy. We have 2 mattes in here, and then a few different bronzy shimmers. Some of these look quite duochrome. I think this is a very cool looking palette as well. We have an orangey, kind of burnt orangey matte in here, and then a warm toned red. So the mattes are a little bit more colorful than the shimmers. I really love this color story as well. Maybe if you are really into mattes, then this isn't really your collection because there are a lot of shimmers in here. The palette that has a 50-50 split with shimmers and mattes is the Mercure Retrograde. So it's like the Mercury Retrograde palette, and this one is very cool toned. We have a matte black in here, we have some cool toned browns, and then some kind of silvery shimmers, but also a very cool toned kind of greeny bronze. I love these types of shades. I think we have a very nice range of colors in this set, and I also think that these are gonna work very well together. We have a more cool toned, we have a more warm toned, and then a more colorful palette. So it's something for everyone. I think this all looks very cool. I love the space theme this has. I just think the packaging is so cool, and the whole vibe of this brand and this launch, the videos that they had of owner of the brand, or at least the influencer that started the brand, I thought were very cool. They had great vibes, so that also really helps, made me very interested in this launch. So those were the eyeshadow palettes. I also got a few lip products to try because I was like, if I order from this brand, I just want to know what it's about. So I'm gonna try a few other things as well. So first up I got one of the liquid lipsticks. I got the one in Pierrette, and the outer packaging of this one, it looks very warm. So I don't know if this is supposed to be similar to the shade that's inside, but this isn't, because the shade that is inside is kind of like a cool toned brown, but it still has a little bit of a rosy undertone as well, and it's not too deep. I feel it doesn't look too deep in the tube. At least we're gonna see how this looks on my lips. I hope it's gonna be comfortable. I hope it's gonna be nice. Then I also saw something on the website that was like a liquid lip balm, something like that. I wasn't entirely sure what this was supposed to be, but on the outer packaging it says a gloss, but when I swatched it, it's kind of like a pigmented balmy gloss, I believe. And this is a very nice kind of a rosy shade, and this one is called Arlette. So this is what that one looks like. It's a little bit of a deeper rosy pink, a little bit of a nudie mid-tone pink. I think it's a very pretty looking shade. I hope this is gonna be comfortable on the lips. And then lastly, I also wanted to try one of the lip liners. I got the one in Simone, and this is a cool tone, kind of deeper red. This is the type of shade that I was looking for. When I swatched it, it felt and looked very creamy. So I have high hopes for this one. This is something I had been keeping my eye out for. So I really hope that this is going to be a very nice cool toned red shade. So Martine Cosmetics is a brand, I believe, from Belgium, so pretty close to me, but everything they do is in French, so it's not always easy to understand what is going on exactly. But I always love to discover new European brands that I only have to pay shipping for and don't have to pay customs for. It's just something I prefer. I think you can understand it. Now let's get you a little bit closer so we can do an eye look. So usually when I have 3 different palettes, I do different looks. That is something that I like to do just in case you are interested in only one of the palettes. But since we have a set here and there isn't really much of a choice, I'm gonna do a look with all of them together, because if you have one of these, you're gonna have all of these. It is one set. You only can buy all 3. So I'm just gonna do one look. But if you are really interested in seeing more of these, if you wanna see a 3-look video, I can still do that. I'm gonna see how excited you are about this brand, so please leave me a comment as well and like this video if you are interested in that. So I already primed my eyelids and I'm just gonna see what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna do a little mix. It's so hard to choose because I kind of want to do a colorful look, but I also kind of want to do a more neutral look. Okay, I think I'm gonna use some reddish brown mattes in the crease and under my eye, and then on my lid I'm gonna use some more colorful shimmers, and then on my lower lash line I'm gonna put some more neutral shimmers. So it's gonna be something like that, and I'm gonna start out with the lightest beige shade over here in the Mercury palette. I'm not gonna try and pronounce these names. I think that would be better for everyone. So I'm just gonna take a crease brush and I'm gonna be building this up in my crease. So these mattes actually felt really good when I swatched them. I'm very hopeful. Just gonna blend this out. And this is kind of like the beige shade that I'm gonna blend other shades into. So I'm not gonna make this too crazy pigmented. It is just a transition shade. I have to say I'm mostly excited about the shimmers. I was mostly excited about the shimmers, but when I swatched them, I thought the mattes looked very nice. And I never really use a black matte, but that black looked so creamy and pigmented. Just making sure this looks even, but it doesn't have to be too perfect, just like that. And now I'm gonna take a little bit more precise crease brush, and I'm gonna go into this kind of dark red bricky shade over here. I think this is such a cool looking shade, and I'm gonna put that in the outer corner. Very cool toned. I'm just patting it down, building it up, and then slowly blending it out. But this doesn't seem to be a very difficult shade to blend. Very pigmented, very blendable. That didn't take a lot of effort. I really love it when dark shades are like this. Very easy to work with. That's how I can really tell if I like a certain matte formula. Gonna do the same over here. Just start by patting it. I feel like this red would be a little bit more bright. Maybe if I hadn't put this brown shade down first, but that's okay. So that was pretty easy peasy. I love how that looks. I think that looks great. Now let's move on to a shimmer. And I'm thinking if I want to take the green and make this a pretty Christmassy look, or if I want to take the blue and make this a little bit more of a blue toned look. I think I'm gonna take the blue, because because I just want to experiment a little bit, and I just want to see what you can actually do with this color story, if these really work together. And I recently did a little bit of a bronzy, warm bronzy and also green look combination, so I want to do something different today. So let's see how these shimmers work. They do have shimmer in them, they do have some texture in them. It's a pretty interesting formula, because when I swatched them, because when I saw them in the pan they looked very shimmery. I put some videos of them on my Instagram where you can really see how shimmery they look in the pan. But then when you swatch them, they don't look extremely shiny. But now that I put them on my eye, I can really see the shimmer. So that is very interesting. This texture kind of looks different depending on the situation, but they are very nice and pigmented, so that is something that I definitely like. Yeah, I can definitely see that it has a little bit of a deeper blue green base and then a lighter green shimmer in there. I think it's pretty. I think it's a pretty shade. I would have to look at it in different lighting to really make sure to really see if I love the shimmer formula. Sometimes it's a bit hard to see with this light, but first impression, I think this looks very good. I think it looks very nice. So I think for the inner corner, I think I'm gonna take another shade from the Cool Toned palette. And I'm gonna take this shade over here, because when I swatched it, it looked kind of like a silver with a very cool toned bluish purple shift almost. So I think this would look good in the inner corner with this look. Yeah, that's pretty. Very cool tone though. You have a bit of a warm crease and then cool tones on the lid. But when I see palettes like this, I also just feel like experimenting a little bit with the tones. I think this shade has quite a nice amount of shine. There's some difference between these shimmers. They're not all the same. Some are a little bit more shiny, some are a little bit more shimmery, some almost feel a little bit like a satin. So that really brightened up this look. Now for the lower lash line, I first want to go into the red again and kind of smoke out the lower lash line. Then I'm gonna take this warmer tone and smoke it out a little bit more to make the lower lash line just a little bit more warm in undertone. And then I'm probably gonna take one of these shimmers from the warmer palette as well. I just want to try a little bit from every palette to get a good idea of this quality. But always when I try new formulas, I really want to use the eyeshadows a few extra times to have a good idea of what the formula is actually like. I especially feel like with new brands that I can't really say that much after trying them once. So I always come back with a new makeup ranking where I tell you how I feel after I've used something a little bit more. But so far so good. What I do really like about these mattes is that they are not extremely powdery. They are quite creamy. I don't get a huge amount of fallout. Even though this is a very deep shade, I don't feel like it's flying around everywhere, and that does happen a lot when I try deep shades. Now, as I said, I'm now gonna go into the more orangey tone and see what happens if I blend these together. I feel like I have a lot of control over these mattes. I can really quite precisely place them. And now for a shimmer on the lower lash line, I think I'm gonna go with this shimmer over here on the top, because that one is like a bronze, but in this swatch I could tell that it has almost like a bluish silvery duochrome to it, and I think that will tie this look together a little bit more than using one of the very warm bronzes. So I'm gonna take this one on a pencil brush and see if it's easy to apply. Oh, that works well. Not all shimmers are that easy to apply on the lower lash line, but this is definitely creamy enough and it does really stick. I think that's pretty. I think that's pretty. Now, because I am curious and I just want to try some more shades, I really want a good feeling for this formula, I am gonna take this bronze over here or maybe the other bronze. Give me a sec. Maybe this bronze. That's really green. No, I'm gonna take the other bronze. I'm gonna take this bronze here and put it in the middle of my lower lash line to add a little bit more shimmer there. I just love shimmery lower lash lines. I just think it looks so good. By the way, these have quite a nice mirror. You can see what you're doing in these. I think this is very nice for travel. It's really easy to take such a tiny palette with you. They're quite small and then you have all the shades for a warm look, for example, and you have a little mirror. I think that's nice. For the last step, I think I'm just gonna take the shade that I put in the inner part of the lid in my inner corner, tie everything together. I think it is light enough. It's a very cool tone shade. Okay, so this is gonna be everything for the eye look. I'm just gonna finish up my makeup except the lips because I wanna try these lippies that I bought with you on camera. So I'll be right back. So let's move on to the lip products. First up, I think I'm gonna try the Balm because I think this is gonna be the most easy to remove. And I wanna see how hydrating this feels because right now my lips feel kind of dry. So I'm just gonna be applying this one. So this is the Balm. It looks like quite a bright shade, but I think that's also because it doesn't really go with this eye look. The eye look is kind of like dark and moody, and this is more of a bright strawberry pink almost, but it feels very nice on the lips, very hydrating. Quite thin, not too thick. It feels good and it looks good. I think it has a nice shine to it. It is not extremely see-through, but there is a little bit of a see-through quality to it. It's not like completely opaque. It's like 90% opaque, something like that. I'm definitely gonna be testing this one out a little bit more, but right now I'm just gonna take it off to try the lip liner. So now I'm gonna be applying the lip liner in Simone. Okay, so this is not a perfect application, but I'm gonna be taking it off in a second. It also looks a bit weird like this, but I'm gonna be taking it off. So I really like this formula, at least at first try, at first application. It has a very nice balance between creamy and dry. It's not extremely creamy, it's not too soft, but it's soft enough to get quite an easy, precise application. It's not like it's going everywhere. It has a nice amount of pigment and it's that in-between formula that I really like. Not too extremely creamy, but also not so dry that it really tugs on your lips. So I actually really like this shade and I think this is gonna be a good formula, but I will have to try it out a little bit more. Now let me take it off and then we're gonna move on to the last lip product that I'm gonna be wearing with this look. So I kind of got it all off. So the last thing that I want to try that I'm gonna keep on for the rest of the day is the liquid lip in Pierrette. And I'm really curious what this is gonna look like on the lips because it's an interesting shade. It's an interesting shade. It could go either way, and sometimes liquid lipsticks turn a little bit darker on the lips when they dry. So I'm just gonna apply it and see. So this lipstick definitely looks more nude than I thought it was going to be looking at the picture on the website. At least right now, looking at it right now, I don't think it looks the same as the website. Maybe it will turn into that color a little bit more as I'm wearing it. But it's an interesting shade. I would say it's pretty cool toned. But it also has a little bit of a camel undertone as well. I'm just gonna let it dry for a sec and then I'm gonna be back with my final thoughts. By the way, these liquid lip products, they don't really have a scent. They really smell of a liquid lip. They really smell more makeup-y. They don't really have any perfume in it, I think, to make it smell sweet or anything like that. So that is something to keep in mind. They don't smell good. They just smell like makeup. Alright, so this is the finished look with Martine Cosmetics with the new Unheard collection. and I really like how this came out. I think the eyeshadows worked very well. I especially love the mattes. They are so creamy pigmented and blendable. Really into those. The shimmers are very pretty, but in a very specific way, because in a way they almost look satin, but then they are also sparkly. They do look shiny, but there is something about them that is a little bit different than other things that I've tried. So I can't really make up my mind about those right now in this video. I think it's an interesting formula, especially when you swatch it, but then when you apply it, it looks different. I do really like how the look came out in the end for sure. I think it looks very pretty. It looks very shiny. It's just a bit different than what I'm used to. Then the lip products, I really think those are gonna be great, but I have to try them out a little bit more. I have to really do some wear tests with these and see how they wear throughout the day, how they feel throughout the day. But I think that this liquid lip is a very interesting because it feels almost moussey when you apply it. Not extremely moussey, but somewhere in between a mousse and a liquid. And then this part of my lips, it is completely dry. But then in the middle here, it's still a little bit sticky. So if it felt like this, how it feels here on my whole lips, I would really love it because it feels very thin, not drying. It just feels very good on the lips. So I kind of have to see if this dries down a little bit more because I feel like there's a lot of potential with this liquid lip and with these lip products and this brand in general. I would say I'm pretty impressed, and I think that I would buy more from this brand. If they come out with cool releases like this that grab my attention, I think I would see myself buy something from them again. Just the way that they did this packaging, just the vibes of this brand, I think it all looks so cool and very well thought out. The only thing that I don't absolutely love is that you can only buy the 3 palettes. You can't choose the one that you want. I don't know what the reasoning is behind that, but I would personally prefer it if you could just choose the one you want, because maybe the set is a little bit expensive. Maybe one of the palettes you wouldn't use. Things like that happen when you have to buy things in a set. So if you are thinking about buying this, definitely ask yourself if you would use all the palettes in this set. I do think that they work well together. I do think you can mix and match, and they all look very nice and they all swatch very nice. So really just ask yourself if you need it, but I at least liked it so far. I think my first impression is very good. I just need some more time to really gather my thoughts and use these a little bit more. So that's gonna be everything for this video. Let me know in the comments if you've ever tried this brand, how you feel about this brand. Would you pick anything up from them? Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and don't forget to subscribe, and then I will see you in my next one. Bye bye.